Hello everyone, welcome to the session for complete revision of engineering mechanics. In this session, we'll start with friction. First, we'll see what is the definition of friction, and we'll see the introduction part of the friction. And first, we'll see the definition of the friction. Friction is a tangential force that resists the movement. Okay, that it is a tangential force which will resist the movement of one surface related to another. And we have another definition also. First we'll try to see the definitions and later we'll try to understand the concept. Force which acts in the opposite direction of the movement of the block is called force of friction or simply a friction. So first, to understand this, we'll try to take one diagram here. We'll try to understand by the diagram. See, here on a horizontal surface we have a block which is having some weight of W. And now if I'm moving this block to the right side with the force P, okay, the force P, so it tries to move in this direction, and that too from the rest to it starts to the motion, right? But there is a one force which is a tangential force, and that too it will resist the movement. The tangential force will act on this surface. That means between the surface and the block it will act in the opposite direction, and it is a tangential one, and that too it will resist the movement of the block. So it is a frictional force which is acting tangential to the like a block or surface, and it is resisting the motion. Okay, and that is your friction. So the force which is resisting the movement of the body is called your friction. Or if you want to say it is also same means which is like force which acts in the opposite direction of the movement of the block. So the frictional force will act in a opposite direction. So that's why we simply call a friction. Yeah. And in these we have different types, like mainly friction will divide into two types. The first one is static friction, and the second one is kinetic friction. And we'll try to see what is static friction and the kinetic friction. Kinetic friction is also called dynamic friction, but in this kinetic friction we have again two types of frictions, which is like sliding and the rolling frictions. First we'll try to understand the static friction. The friction experienced by your body when it is in rest. So when the body is in rest, then what are the frictional forces that are experiencing by the body or starting friction? And coming to dynamic or kinetic friction, we can call the dynamic or kinetic the friction experienced by your body when it is in motion. So the body, when it is placed on a horizontal surface and it is moving with respect to some velocity or acceleration, when the force is applied like P, then the friction which is experienced by it in opposite direction is kinetic friction or else dynamic friction. And in this we have two frictions, which is like sliding friction and the rolling friction. First we'll see the sliding friction here, the friction experienced by a body when it slides over another body. Okay, for example, just think that a body is there and here one body is there, and if the body is moving in this direction and if this body is moving in this direction, then the friction that is happening is a sliding friction, which is also happening in our like mechanical components. And coming to rolling friction, the friction experienced by your body when it rolls over another, just like your bearings, okay, ball bearings or any other needle bearings, and all this comes under rolling friction. And now we'll see some important terms in the friction. First we'll start with limiting friction. This is a maximum value of frictional force which comes into play when motion is impending. That means when the motion is getting started. So we'll try to understand the concept. See, here on a horizontal surface we have a block which is of weight some like W, and we have your force which is acting like P. So until and unless when the force is acting on your body, until and unless the force is acting on your body, the body remains in its own state which is at rest. So according to the Newton's first law. But as you proceed with some force, that means if you are giving some force to the body or some movement to the body, then from the rest it will starts to motion, right? At that particular point there is maximum friction. There will be a maximum friction at which the body starts moving, and that friction we call limiting friction. The friction is acting in opposite direction, but at particular point, for example, if you are applying like P equals to 1 newtons, the body won't move from the rest position, and 2 newtons even the body is not moving. But at 3 newtons, when it reaches that 3 newtons, the body wants to move or tends to move, or it will impending, right? Motion is impending. So at that 3 newtons it is moving in a on a horizontal surface, and that 3 newtons is your limiting friction. After that, after the motion takes place, again it will comes to a lesser friction when compared to your limiting friction. That means limiting friction is a maximum friction. It is a maximum value of frictional force. So at rest, it will the friction force linearly increases, and after reaching this limiting friction, again it will starts reducing and continues in a constant way. We'll see the same thing in the graphical one. You can see here. So the x-axis represents the force which is acting on your body, and the y-axis represents the frictional force which is acting on your body. And now if you start applying the force on your body when it is in rest, okay, just think that your body is at rest here, and now you are applying some force, and if your force is increasing, the friction also goes on increases when there is no motion. And after reaching certain point, the body tends to move, and after starts its motioning, right, by your body, again the frictional will reduces, and it will maintain a constant friction on your body. So now you can see here, and this particular point is your maximum value of the friction force, right? So this is your maximum friction point which comes into play when the body is in motion or motion is impending, right? That means the motion is getting start, and that is your maximum friction or limiting friction. So at this friction we call that as static friction. Okay, we call it as static friction. And moreover, when coming to this line, and this is the friction experienced by your body when it is in motion, and this is the friction experienced by your body when it is in rest. Okay, now what is this constant value? This is the friction at kinetic level. That means kinetic means motion and the friction is happening. Okay, this is the kinetic friction. And moreover, you can see here in this graph, when the body is in no motion, that means when the body is in rest, when you're increasing your value of P, that means the effort or the force on your body, your frictional force and the effort or the force which is acting on your body is linear. These two are linear. Up to what extent? Up to it reaches the limiting point. After limiting point, again this will decreases, or it will continue in a constant state. But up to the limiting point, it will continues in a linear manner. That means whatever the force you are applying, the same friction force will be there. You can see here, if you take a body and if you are up, it is at rest. That means velocity is equals to 0. The body is at rest, and now you are applying some force which is like P, and now your frictional force will also equals to P. Okay, until the body is reaching to a limiting stage, the value of your friction is equals to the value of the force or effort you are applying on your body. Clear? And once again, the limiting friction is nothing but a maximum value of a frictional force. Next term we'll see like coefficient of friction. It is the ratio of limiting friction to the normal reaction. The coefficient of friction is designated by mu, and it is the ratio of limiting friction. Just now we seen, and this is your normal reaction. Try to we'll see what is this normal reaction. When your body is placed on a horizontal surface, there is a some weight which is acting by a block, right, which is like weight equals to 100 newtons or 1000 newtons, which is acting downwards. But this horizontal surface will have the opposite force, and that opposite force is vertically upwards, and that is your reaction. Simply we call reaction or normal reaction. Okay, this is the opposite force by the surface towards the body. That means it is acting in a opposite direction to the weight of your body. Clear? And that is your normal reaction. And once again, the coefficient of friction is equals to ratio of limiting friction by normal reaction. And we can also say this as this is equals to tan of angle of friction. We'll see what is this angle of friction. And if you take the equation up to here, and you can rewrite that F equals to mu r. That means this is the friction force that equals to coefficient of friction into normal reaction. And what is pi? Angle of friction. We'll see in this session. And next, F equals to limiting friction. Okay, this is the maximum friction where you can see, that means the body tends to change its position from the rest to motion. And coming to R, that is your normal reaction between the two bodies, okay, which is like body of block and the horizontal surface. And this coefficient of friction is a constant one. Okay, the coefficient of static friction, we'll see some coefficient of frictions for a constant materials. See, once again, here, if you come here, it is a ratio of limiting friction to the a normal reaction, and this limiting friction will be a constant materials, and we'll see what is that constant materials and the constant coefficient of frictions. Here we have some contact materials like metal on ice. For this ice is there, on that particular metal is there. So for this contact, okay, we have a constant value of coefficient of friction, and that is your 0.03 to 0.05. So that value, for when the metal is placing on the ice, that value will ranges from 0.03 to 0.05, and this value is a constant. Okay, and these are the values for the coefficient of static friction. Okay, and coming to wood on wood, it is 0.30 to 0.70, and leather on wood 0.2 to 0.50, and leather on metal it is 0.3 to 0.6, and copper on copper it is 0.74 to 1.21. These are the constant values. But coming to this here, it is values for coefficient of static friction. What about your kinetic friction? We have two frictions, right, which is the static friction and the kinetic friction. And what about your coefficient of friction for the kinetic? Less than 25% of your static friction. That means your kinetic coefficient of friction will be less than, or we can say like a coefficient of kinetic friction will be less than 25% of these particular values. So if you want to take the coefficient of kinetic friction, you can take 25 less than 25% less than of these values. That means mu k, which is coefficient of kinetic friction, is less than how much time is it? It is less than 25% less than mu s, which is like coefficient of static friction. Okay, that means the friction will be more in a static condition when compared to the kinetic condition. And coming to the angle of friction, which is denoted by pi, the angle between the resultant reaction and the normal reaction. We already seen what is normal reaction is, and now we'll try to understand this resultant reaction at limiting condition. So here we see a block is placed on a horizontal surface. Now we have a reaction which is normal reaction acting upwards vertically. In this direction we have a friction, right? So the resultant of these two, which is like friction and the normal reaction, is your resultant reaction, which is R dash or R1. Okay, you can write in any way. I prefer like R dash. So now this resultant is resultant reaction, which is happening with the resultant of angle pi. Okay, now once again you can see here the angle of friction is nothing but the angle between the resultant reaction, this is the resultant reaction, and the normal reaction, this is your normal reaction at limiting condition. What is the limiting condition? The maximum friction where it takes place, that means the body impending to the motion, and at that point you will have some pi value, and that is your angle of friction. And moreover, how to find this resultant? From the method of resolutions, or from the resultant of your parallelogram, or from like parallelogram is the best one when compared to method of resolutions and all. And from parallelogram law you can take these two components, which is like vertical and the horizontal, and you can able to find this resultant, right? Or resultant reaction. This resultant reaction is making some angle with the normal reaction, and that is pi, and that we call angle of friction. And what's the condition for angle of friction for static and the angle of friction for kinetic? So the angle of friction will be more for the static when compared to the kinetic. But at limiting condition, this is very important, at limiting condition these two are equal. Okay, at limiting condition the static angle of friction and the kinetic angle of friction are equal. But in normal conditions your angle of friction for the static is more compared to the kinetic. And you can see here we already seen in coefficient of friction mu equals to tan pi, and that pi is your angle of friction. So how you got this? And from this figure, what is tan pi? That equals to this particular length, which is f divided by this one r, which is opposite side by adjacent, right? So f divided by r. What is your f? Friction or limiting friction divided by normal reaction. In the previous we already seen the ratio of limiting friction and the normal reaction is coefficient of friction, right? So simply you can write the coefficient of friction equals to tan pi or f by r. So that's what we written here. And the next one we'll see the condition of your angle of friction for static and the kinetic. Just now we seen this. So when the body is in limiting condition, so both angle of frictions will be seen. But in the normal condition, your angle of friction for the static is more when compared to the kinetic. And the next one is angle of repose, the maximum inclination of the plane on which the body free from external forces can repose. So first we'll try to understand what is repose. What is the meaning of repose? Rest. Okay. So now on a inclined one, if your body is placed, and if this inclination goes on increases, what happens to the body? It will start sliding downwards, right? So the angle at which body starts sliding downwards, and that is your angle of repose. Okay, that means the body is at rest, but when your angle of inclination goes on increases, okay, this angle goes on increasing, right? So the point at which the body tends to slide downwards, and that angle, that means if the angle of inclination is alpha, if this alpha goes on increasing, at certain point it will slides down, right? At that point we call angle of repose, and this angle of repose is designated by theta. Okay, this alpha is angle of inclination, but theta is angle of repose. But don't confuse with this pi also. And this is angle of friction. Once again, alpha is angle of inclination, pi is angle of friction, theta is angle of repose. So the maximum inclination, so at maximum inclination it starts sliding down of the plane on which the body free from external forces. See, when the external forces is acting on your body, it won't slides down. So but when it is sliding down, the body is getting free from the external forces, so it can repose. That means it can start moving from the rest. Okay, you can say in this way also, the angle at which the body is just on your point of sliding down, the condition of limiting friction will exist. And now we'll try to understand this equation, which is when the body is here on an inclined plane, and this is your W, which is weight of your body, and this is angle of friction pi, and this is W cos alpha, or you can write it as theta. Why? Because you're actually, this angle of inclination is alpha, but you're taking like angle of repose at the equilibrium condition. That means the body just want to slides down, okay, at limiting condition. And this is your R, which is normal reaction, and in this direction we have W sine theta, which is theta is angle of repose. And coming to next one, which is friction, which is F equals to mu R. And now what is R? R is acting upwards, but R is equals to this W cos theta. And coming to friction, F equals to, when the body is getting sliding down, okay, you just write this friction equals to mu R in this direction, which is F equals to mu R. Okay, the body is sliding down, no? When the motion is in this direction, the friction will be in opposite direction. So now finally, what is your coefficient of friction? It is the ratio of limiting friction to the normal reaction, that equals to tan theta. If you simplify this, you're going to get this tan theta, and mu equals to Fr by F divided by R, and that equals to tan pi from the previous equation, which is like angle of friction, right? So now these two are equal, and these two are also equal, right? So if you cancel the tan, you are going to get theta equals to pi. So when it is happening? At limiting condition. At limiting condition, your angle of friction is equals to angle of repose. Or you can also write this equation as mu, coefficient of friction, is equals to tan of angle of friction, that equals to tan of angle of repose. So at limiting condition, your angle of friction is equals to angle of repose, or tan of angle of friction is equals to angle of tan of angle of repose. Clear? At limiting condition, your tan of angle of friction is equals to tan of angle of repose. And we have one more term, which is cone of friction. It is an imaginary cone generated by revolving the resultant reaction about the normal reaction. We already seen what is resultant reaction, so we already know the normal reaction also, right? We'll try to understand what is this cone of friction. So it is just like an imaginary cone which is generated by your resultant reaction. So this is your reaction, normal reaction R, and this is your resultant reaction R dash. And if this resultant reaction is rotating about your normal reaction in this way, then what the curve you're getting, that is your imaginary cone generated by your resultant reaction about a normal reaction. This is your angle cone of friction. We will continue in the next session. Thank you.